Alright, so I did my presentation on Clara Barton, so let's get started. So she was one of the most honored women in history. She risked her life to bring supplies to the soldiers and to give first aid to soldiers. Here's a picture of Clara Barton on the screen. She also founded the American Red Cross at the age of 59 and 60. She was their president for 23 years. She was a nurse, educator, humanitarian. She also was a visionary whose humanitarian spirit helped change the world in her early life. So Clara was born on Christmas of 1821 in Massachusetts. She was the youngest of 5 children. She was taught at home. She began teaching at 18, and then she started her own school, her own free school for workers' children at the age of 24, which is very young, and I find that very inspiring because at 18 she did all this, and then at 24 she created her own free school. And then as a teen she had to take care of her very seriously ill brother David, and that was her first experience as a nurse. So here's a picture of Clara again. Contributions to the Civil War. She did a lot of things during the Civil War time. When she was in Washington when the war began, she provided nursing care to the soldiers who were wounded or just needed help. She also gathered supplies for them when they needed them. And this, she never had formal training as a nurse. So she was just like, you know what, let me just go ahead out here and risk my life to save these people. Even though I don't know what I'm doing, I'm still doing it because she wanted to help. So imagine having someone formally not trained to work on you. That's cool. But after the war, she didn't stop there. She created the Office for Missing Soldiers. It helped more than 20,000 soldiers reconnect with their families. She had 2 nicknames, the Angel of the Battlefield. She got these nicknames from helping with the war. She also delivered supplies. Here's her during the wartime, helping these people. So the post-war effects of her, again, she helped the missing soldiers reconnect 20,000 people. So she toured the country and she gave lectures about her war experiences and advocating for the rights and veterans' welfare. She helped identify nearly 13,000 Union soldiers' graves. So when she was traveling the country, she went to Europe. And when she went to Europe, she learned about, it's called the International Red Cross. That's what they did over in Europe, and she fell in love with the idea. So when she came back to the States, that's where she got her inspiration to create the American Red Cross. She got it from Europe and their International Cross, so she came over here and made the American Red Cross. So founding the American Red Cross, it was May 21st, 1881. She also created the Geneva Conventions, about 1882. These were balls that protect the war wounded and civilians in conflict zones, and this is still seen today. She was a president for 23 years. She retired in 1904, so the reason for her retirement, I was reading in an article, it said that the people in her, apparently they didn't like the way she was managing things or something like that, and so they were like, hey, you need to resign from this position. I mean, she was already 60 years old when she created the American Red Cross. So imagine for 23 years, that's a long time. So, I mean, something's got to give, girl, but love the work. Anyways, that's how she founded it, nearly 60. I thought this picture was pretty cool. It's like a little stamp postage. So her later life and her legacies. She received so many awards, which I don't blame her. Like, go and get it. But she received the Prussian Iron Cross, the Russian Silver Cross, and other distinguished awards. So after resigning from her position at the American Red Cross, of course she didn't stop there, because period. Anyways, so she founded the National First Aid Association of America in 1905, and then she was their honorary president for 5 years. after she founded it. Sadly, she passed away in April 12th, 1912, at her home in Maryland. Her home now is actually the Clara Barton Museum in Maryland, I'm pretty sure. Today, the American Red Cross continues her legacy of selfless service. So her impact on society. So with founding the American Red Cross, she's helped so many lives from then until today. It is still seen today. Her work is still seen everywhere. The American Red Cross helps in emergencies and natural disasters and wars. Like, what she did was phenomenal. And her being a woman in this time also, she broke limits, and that just gives power, you know, like that just shows that one person's determination can change a lot of things. So her work also set a precedent of civilian involvement in providing support. So hopefully if people learn about Clara Barton, that they get that urge to go and help support, or they might be inspired enough to go out and make their own American Red Cross. Not saying the American Red Cross, but you know what I mean. So she, as a woman in the 19th century, she broke down barriers and demonstrated leadership, paving the way for women in humanitarian work. So this is what I love about the fun facts. So she had no practical medical experience before the outbreak of the war, which I find is hilarious. Because imagine one of those soldiers just be like, hey, what's your experience? You're like, oh, I don't have any. Anyways, so much of the money she raised to support her efforts came out of her own pockets, which I find is very selfless. Very selfless. She had two nicknames, like I said before, the American Nightingale and the Angel of the Battlefield. So this is my favorite fact because I love cats too. So she loved all animals, especially cats. And I thought this was so cute. During the Civil War, Senator Schuyler and Colfax sent her a kitten with a bow around its neck in appreciation for her work. That is so adorable. So in this image, you're probably like, why is there a picture of a cat? But this is a painting of her beloved cat, Tommy. So she had a painting made of her cat, and it is still hung up in her house in Maryland, the Clara Barton Museum today, which I find so cute, just so adorable. Look at him, he's so cute. But anyways, she never married, and she never had children. So she was just a cat person or an animal person. So in conclusion, basically, her dedication to helping others left a lasting impact on the world and is still seen today. It was seen back then and is still seen today. Her courageous efforts in the Civil War to founding the American Red Cross, she changed the way we approach disaster relief and humanitarian aid. So just think about how if she didn't create the American Red Cross, or if the American Red Cross was never created, just think about all the lives that would be destroyed or lost, or homes would never be rebuilt, and people would be without homes and food and water in natural disasters like tornadoes and stuff like that. So she made a pretty big impact on not just society back then, but society today still sees her impact. Her selfless acts just inspire me, and I hope others too, to go out and just help, you know? Okay, and then her legacy continues today, inspiring nurses, volunteers, and leaders to serve those who are in need. And her story reminds us of how one's compassion and determination can make a difference. And I love that because one's determination can make a difference. I mean, look at Clara. Her whole life was nothing but serving and helping people. And she created this amazing foundation that still helps people to this day, decades, centuries later. That is amazing work. But I hope y'all enjoyed my presentation. Here are my sources that I used. I also did image credits for all of my pictures. But yeah, so that's the end of my presentation.